All right, in this video, I'm talking about 5 reasons you should consider using a trust to distribute your assets as opposed to just a will or, having nothing in place. Number 1, probate avoidance, right? So when you use a trust, you're able to avoid probate. Probate takes a long time. There's court oversight. Often that's where we see a lot of fighting amongst family members. It's a stressful process because it takes so long and people are frustrated. After a person passes away, now they have to hire an attorney, go to court, all of that. If you set everything up and you put your assets, you put your money, you put your house, different investment accounts, things like that into the trust, then you potentially, if done correctly, you're going to avoid probate. So your family is not going to have to go through probate. So number 1, it avoids probate. Number 2, it provides for incapacity planning. Most people, when they think about what we call estate planning, they think about who gets what of my stuff after I pass away. And that's definitely one piece of it. The other piece of it is incapacity while you're still alive. Let's say that you're in an accident and you are in a vegetative state or just unable to communicate your wishes. Or maybe as you get older, Alzheimer's, dementia, you're just not mentally all there. Well, if you don't have a plan in place, the court is likely going to name a legal guardian over you who's going to make medical decisions for you, the court's going to manage your finances on your behalf. And this might not be the person that you want to do all of that, right? So a trust can take care of incapacity planning so that everything's taken care of for you. Your wishes are listened to while you're still alive. Trust is a great way to do that. Number 3, you get control of your assets. And you get to control what happens with those assets after you pass away. If you don't have a plan in place, and usually if you just have a will, money is just going to go outright to the individuals, or the house might go outright to the individuals, which that might be what you think you want. But often especially when it comes to a house, you probably, when you think about it, you don't want your 2 kids or 3 kids or whoever owning the house together. Who's going to pay the property taxes? If there's a mortgage, who's going to pay the mortgage? Maybe one of them wants to sell it, the other one wants to keep it, and that's where you have a lot of fighting and then potentially a lawsuit to force the sale of the property. So with a trust, you can dictate what happens with it. Maybe you say that you give the kids 90 days, they get to agree. If they don't agree, then the property gets sold and everything gets split 50-50. So you have some control over your assets. And maybe you don't want the money going outright to your daughter because she's married. And then if you give, $100,000 to your daughter, and then her and your son-in-law get divorced, he's going to take $50,000 of it. So often when we talk about things like that, people realize they want to have a little bit more control over their assets and not just leave everything outright, which is again why using a trust to distribute that is a great thing. Minor children, number 4, taking care of your minor children. So again, you get to have some control with the assets of how that's going to be distributed to your kids. Maybe you don't want your kids receiving $500,000 when they turn 18. Maybe you want to structure it. Maybe you want to say that they get a third of it at 21, a third of it at 25, a third of it at 30. Maybe you say they get part of it when they graduate from college. Whatever, you can be very specific with that, which a trust allows you to do. So that's a great thing. A trust is also going to say who do you want to be the legal guardian of those kids should something happen to you. So planning for minor children. Number 4, great reason to use a trust as kind of the basis of your estate plan. And number 5, having a trust is private. So a will, which is going to go through probate, everybody's going to see, everybody's going to know, what you had, what you didn't have. They're going to know who's receiving, money from you, and that's where you get, creditors. You get people trying to take advantage of other people because they know, hey, that person's getting $500,000. Let's go, try to run a con on them or try to have them invest in our new business or whatever the case may be. So everything's public. Your brother's going to see what's going on, and maybe you didn't want him to be involved. So that's, one of the main differences. Whereas trust, it's private. There's no court involvement. It's very secret, which most people like because they don't know who's getting what. So 5 reasons, why you should consider using a trust for distribution as opposed to a will. Avoids probate, helps you plan for incapacity, gives you more control over your assets, helps you plan for your minor children to make sure that they're protected, and is a private, so nobody knows what's going on.